Chapter 8: Media and Climate Change. Greenpeace India is an independent organization registered in India that campaigns to protect India's forests for clean air and water, to promote renewable energy, especially solar power, to prevent the dangerous impacts of climate change and nuclear power, for safe food and ecological farming, and to protect freedom of speech. Let us read an entry from their blog. What we can do to stop climate change? No one knows how much warming is safe. What do we know is that climate change is already harming people and ecosystems. Its reality can be seen in melting glaciers, disintegrating polar ice, thawing permafrost, changing monsoon patterns, rising sea levels, changing ecosystems, and fatal heat waves. Scientists are not the only ones talking about these changes. From the apple growers in Himachal to the farmers in Vidarbha and those living in disappearing islands in the Sundarbans, people are already struggling with the impacts of climate change. But this is just the beginning. We need to act to avoid catastrophic climate change. While not all regional effects are known yet, here are some likely future effects if we allow current trends to continue. Likely and early effects of small to moderate warming. Rise in sea level due to melting glaciers and the thermal expansion of the oceans as global temperature increases. Massive release of greenhouse gases from melting permafrost and dying forests. A high risk of more extreme weather events such as heat waves, droughts, and floods. The global incidence of drought has already doubled over the past 30 years. Severe regional impacts. Example, river flooding will increase, and in coastal areas the risk of flooding, erosion, and wetland loss will increase substantially. Natural systems including glaciers, coral reefs, mangroves, Arctic ecosystems, alpine ecosystems, boreal forests, tropical forests, prairie wetlands, and native grasslands will be severely threatened. The existing risks of species extinction and biodiversity loss will increase. The greatest impacts will be on the poorer countries least able to protect themselves from rising sea levels. There will be spread of disease and decline in agricultural production in the developing countries of Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. At all scales of climate change, developing countries will suffer the most. Longer-term catastrophic effects if warming continues. Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets are melting. Unless checked, warming from emissions may trigger the irreversible meltdown of ice sheets in the coming decades, which would add up to a 7 meters rise in sea level over some centuries. Catastrophic releases of methane from the oceans are leading to rapid increases in methane in the atmosphere and the consequent warming. Never before has humanity been forced to grapple with such an immense environmental crisis. If we do not take urgent and immediate action to stop global warming, the damage could become irreversible. Source: Now let us read a news article on global warming and climate change from a leading Indian daily, The Hindu. Karakoram glaciers growing in spite of climate change. Study. A report by PTI London, August 8, 2017. A summer vortex of cold air over the Karakoram, a large mountain range spanning the borders of India, Pakistan and China, is causing the glaciers in the region to grow in spite of global warming, scientists say. Researchers from Newcastle University in the UK have identified a large-scale circulation system or vortex centered over the Karakoram mountain range. In winter, the vortex affects the temperature over the whole 2000-kilometer mountain range, but in the summer, the vortex contracts and has an effect only over the Karakoram and western Pamir, a mountain range in Central Asia. This induces an anomalous cooling in summer, which is different to the warming seen over the rest of the Himalaya, researchers said. This Karakoram vortex goes some way to explaining why the glaciers in this region are behaving differently to those in most other parts of the world. While most glaciers are retreating as a result of global warming, the glaciers of the Karakoram range in South Asia are stable or even growing, said Haley Fowler, professor at Newcastle University. Most climate models suggest warming over the whole region in summer as well as in winter, said Mr. Fowler. However, our study has shown that large-scale circulation is controlling regional variability in atmospheric temperatures with recent cooling of summer temperatures. This suggests that climate models do not reproduce this feature well, he said. Researchers said that it is not known whether climate change will affect this circulation system and what the effect of sudden shifts might be. However, the circulation system is currently providing a dampening effect on global warming, reducing glacial melt in the Karakoram region, and any change will have a significant effect on ice melt rates, which would ultimately affect river flows in the region, they said. Usually, glaciers oscillate between growth and retreat. Snow falls on the peaks and gradually compacts and turns to ice, while lower down the glaciers lose ice to melting and evaporation. If snowfall equals snowmelt, the glacier is in equilibrium. But global warming has tipped the balance so that most of the world's glaciers are shrinking. Acting like a counterweighted temperature control, the unique summer interaction of the Karakoram vortex and the South Asian monsoon causes temperatures in the Karakoram and Pamir to cool, while those in the central and eastern Himalaya are warming and vice versa, researchers said. Over recent decades, these vortex monsoon interactions have resulted in stormier conditions over the Karakoram. This vortex provides an important temperature control, said Newcastle University's Nathan Forsyth, lead author of the study. The blog entry is an example of how social media acts to shape public opinion, while the news article is an example of how the conventional media informs the public on important environmental issues. The blog entry focuses on the likely threats that the world faces due to global warming and urges the readers to act quickly to prevent any catastrophic impact the world may face. It does not address any specific group of people, unlike the news article that will be of greater interest to skeptics, non-believers who do not agree that global warming can have serious immediate threats to the world. It states how a particular natural phenomenon can counter the problem of global warming in a specific physical zone, as a result of which there is anomalous climatic trend in the region. The article uses a study made by a group of researchers from Newcastle, UK, to explain the unusual trend, while the blog uses general impressions and suggested possibilities that are feared by most scientists. Specific scientific reasons have, however, been cited in both the blog post and the article. Again, the blog opens a forum for reader response, but the article only informs its audience. It does not call for the reader's views on it. Thus, we can infer how social media differs from conventional or traditional media. Social media refer to forms of electronic communication, such as websites for social networking and microblogging, through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content, such as videos. Traditional or conventional media are the mass media institutions that predominated prior to the information age, particularly print media. film studios, music studios, advertising agencies, radio broadcasting, and television. These traditional media institutions are centralized and communicate with one-way technologies to a generally anonymous mass audience. New media technologies are interactive and comparatively decentralized. They enable people to telecommunicate with one another. The defining telecommunications network of the information age is the Internet. Media plays a key role in creating public awareness. Whatever may be the source of information, it is important to make sure it is authentic.